Alrighty, let's start the recording here. Very professional outfit we are. Camera is on. Not yet. Here we go. Hello, and welcome to Platos Cave. Coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. Oh, there he is. Camera shy. Got my big light on. Home to ideas were relatively fresh and uncensored and good. Good to have ideas, especially if they're here at the station. You like ideas, that's an excellent thing. You probably won't like all the ideas, but that's not a bad thing either. So just come on in, enjoy the show, and see if there's something you might even learn here. Importantly, though, this is listener-funded radio, which means we need you and your money. We want your money bags. And if you can donate, please do. Any kind of currency is good. Just go to the station's home site and follow the bouncing ball. Really simple process, but maybe you can't donate. That's okay. Tell people about the station. That helps. That helps a lot. Right, and keep the station going. I've got now a fair inkling as to how many people are listening to the station, which is great. More than my departed mother's coffee clutch. But you know, hey, it's all good. Today is the 10th of April 2025. It is in fact a Thursday, and you can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time on your smart device. You grab it up to listen anywhere, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. That's right. And another good reason to donate is, of course, the fact that the archives are completely free. No charge, gratis, umsonst, for nothing. For nothing. Just go in there and listen as much as you like. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, as we always do, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Mr. Narara,
it is the Dark Jung.
And for Mr. Pemmelway, it's of course the Narak people. And we'd like to pay respect to elders, past, present, and future. Alrighty, another day in paradise is what I say. It's funny.
Is it?
Again?
I'm not feeling it.
You're not feeling it? You know, I'm feeling it. I like it. I think China is now on
125.
Is it 125? I've lost count. I was going to say 150. That seemed too high. I was going to say 100. That seemed too low.
I'm waiting for 10,000. I've got on my bingo card 10,000%, but we'll see.
Yeah, but you know, there's some interesting news that came out today. We'll talk about Donald Trump and the economy in a second, but it appears that the Russians have captured 2 Chinese nationals fighting for the Russians. In fact, as many as 155 Chinese nationals fighting for the Russians. Now, we know that the South Koreans had sent people. There were Syrians, Tibetans, people from Africa, and a few others, I think. But
so who captured them?
The Ukrainians.
Oh, Ukrainians captured them. Okay.
Yeah. And this is the first time the Chinese nationals were actually caught fighting for Russia, which is again, look, if it's only a handful and it's like 155, it's not like they sent an army of 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I would be inclined to think these might be mercenaries potentially, but again, we'll we'll see. No, it's not yet World War III. The Chinese have not attacked Ukraine, and NATO is not getting ready to retaliate, so that hasn't happened. What has happened, though, is even though I tell you what, I look at my superannuation, Dave, hasn't really bounced back. Hasn't bounced.
Hasn't bounced like the rest of it.
Didn't bounce. Like I lost a good chunk over the last couple of days, and it went like this, and then ding, just a little bit, ding. So it didn't really bounce significantly at all, which is unfortunate, but that's the name of the game, I guess. So hopefully it'll recover a bit more over the next few days. But the U.S. stock market experienced, I think its best day on history, right?
That's right.
Its best day on record, I should say, not on history. Best day on record. Who knew? All he had to do was tank the economy with unwanted tariffs, and before you know it, you just reverse the tariffs, and the economy bounces right back. Do you know why Donald Trump?
I lost 9,000. That's what I lost.
Yeah, I lost more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a goodly chunk more than that. But that's yeah. But do you know why Donald Trump has reversed his policy? Because he said we're not going to reverse it. This is our policy. We're not going to change it. You know, the day before. And I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it. That's all goodness, of course. And he's a politician, I guess now, so you can't believe what he says. But do you know why he has done it?
Pepsi?
Partial credit. Young whippersnapper. Come on. Front of the class.
I don't know. I don't know.
No,
look,
because...
Wait. So I have a joke. So if you're my modern history teacher, who's now passed away, sadly, and you ask me a question, what was Hitler thinking? I don't know. Could have been thinking anything. So when you say, why did he do it? Oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the obvious reason that leaps to mind could be that he saw, the American economy wasn't really doing well and people weren't, feeling well. In fact, he said people are starting to feel yippee, whatever that means, and then they were getting a bit scared, and maybe we should back off. That wasn't the reason. Not because people were feeling yippee.
Could you imagine, Mackie, if it was the other way around? It's like, okay, so I want everyone to sell what they've got. It's going to hit a bottom and it's going to come back up. So buy.
Yeah.
Because that's how you play the market.
Well, actually, there's something I need to talk about, which is serious, if it's true, in a second. Mm-hmm. No, are we all familiar with what treasury bonds are?
I know what bonds are.
Well, when America, or any country for them, and let's say America needs money, right? So America raises its debt ceiling and says, I need another $1 trillion or whatever printed, and off they go and print it, the Federal Reserve, that is. Now, the Federal Reserve doesn't just go and print it. What it gets from the American government are bonds. Treasury bonds.
They issue new bonds, yes.
They're IOUs, essentially. They're IOUs. The government owes whatever you printed, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, never mind where the money comes from, but a bond is just an IOU. Now, that IOU is now worth whatever the Treasury printed, whatever the Federal Reserve printed, I should say. Because the Treasury goes to the Federal Reserve and says, please print. So the Treasury bond now becomes a tradable commodity. And in fact, the Federal Reserve does sell them. Right, and it's actually seen as a fairly robust investment, or like a real blue chip kind of thing, and you're looking at 10, 30, 40, 50 year returns on that thing, right? Treasury bonds. Now, treasury bonds are purchased by foreign entities to the tune of hundreds of billions, and I've got here the U.S. Treasury. Where are we? Where's my U.S. Treasury? Oh, here we go. This is actually from the Treasury, so treasury.gov. Japan holds $1 trillion worth of Treasury bonds. $1 trillion. China holds 760 billion, so just shy of $1 trillion. Right? And then the UK has got 740. Luxembourg. Now, again, Luxembourg and the Cayman Islands, which is clearly not something that Luxembourg and the Cayman Islands bought, each hold 400 billion. Now, that's clearly not what Luxembourg and Cayman bought. It's all good, though. It's all good. We won't give the game away here. But my point is this. So these foreign countries or these foreign entities think that these treasury bonds are a good long-term investment, like a safety kind of thing, right? They were starting to sell off in the last couple of days, significantly. If the treasury bonds are sold in a declining market, the US dollar loses value significantly. So
we couldn't really barely notice what was going on because our dollar tanked.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is related. But essentially, when the treasury bonds are sold off, which is what happened, then the trouble is this is serious stuff. This is no longer stock market stuff. This is not treasury bonds. This is a whole different thing. So I think Trump could kill. In fact, I'll talk about the other thing in a second, the stock market. So yeah, the sell-off. That's. I mean, if China really wanted to hurt America, it would get together with Japan potentially, or even by itself,
and just sell everything it has.
Sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It would tank the U.S. dollar in like there's no tomorrow. Now that would be a nuclear weapon in a trade war. You don't want to do that. That's stupid.
That's right.
Forget tariffs. The tariffs are like trench warfare compared to that. We got 2 inches. This is the land we conquered today. Really? Ah, nice scale model. No. This is the actual land we conquered today.
It's the actual land. That's all that's left.
So that's what happened. That's why he, in my opinion, he started pulling back on the tariffs. Not on China, and fair enough too. Well, that's his game. But he pulled back significantly, and then the stock markets came up. So it's like a lot of bosses I used to work for. They would start a fire somewhere in the corner, right? Mm-hmm. Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
And they go, fire! And then people would come and run to them and say, hey, help us! There's a fire there. And of course, in the magnanimity, they would come and fix it, to put out the fire. Oh, great job, brother!
That's right.
Look at you doing things.
I need a bonus for that.
Fire. That's right. And that's what he did. He lit the economy on fire, and then he doused it in tariff reductions. It's hilarious. But yeah, that's where we are. So, but this is one news story that came out today, which, if true, is really worrying. Apparently, some people made a mozza on the stock market, like money, right?
Yeah.
And it seems they may have been part of his inner circle. Now, if that is true,
that's insider trading.
It's so far beyond insider trading. It's like insider trading is you knowing something that might happen. But he's the guy doing it, right?
That's right.
We have to get a new term for this. Like, how the storms are too big now? We need new names for storms.
Superstorms and rain bombs.
Rivers. What's it? Rain bombs.
Rivers in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, and rain bombs and all that kind of stuff, right? Now this is a whole new level of thing where I want to tell you a story. I was working, this is all 30 years ago, I was working for a small company that was a holding of another company. It was a retail company, but the other company was a bigger holding company. And I was asked to go to the bank and buy shares. Now, I was just a retail assistant, but I had to wear a suit, so I looked respectable. So I went to the bank and I bought a certain number of shares. And they sent me there, I think, 3 or 4 times that day to buy more and more shares.
Really?
And eventually I said, Roger, what are we doing here? And he goes, well, we're trying to move the value of the stock.
Oh.
Right. So well, it's
was his last name Rogerson?
Rogerson, no, if only, right? No, not quite. He was actually
not Roger Rogerson. No,
I can't tell you, but he's got the same last name as a certain Prime Minister of Canada. Yeah, that's right. There might be a relation. I don't know. But he was a nice enough guy. He's American, I think. He's probably dead by now. He was like 102 back then. So he said, look, well, no, what we're doing is we're manipulating the share price of this particular stock.
That's crazy.
I said, oh, okay. Fair enough. Now, you can do that. You can do it with a targeted stock. If you have enough money, you can actually do that, right? That's within your power in the stock market. Now, what Donald Trump has is the power of the American economy. And when he says, I do this, I do that, I mean, it moves markets. I mean, remember when Michael Jordan said he was quitting, or even Tiger Woods, whatever happened to him? Because they were like billion-dollar industries, those guys, by themselves.
Yeah.
And they could move the needle on the stock market, right? Now, obviously, Donald Trump moved the stock market to the tune of $6 trillion. $6 trillion. The mind boggles. But he said on his Truth Social, he said, it's going to be great time to buy or whatever, right? And then he reversed his stance on tariffs. Now, and we do know that people made a lot of money What we don't know if anybody shorted anything. So shorting means you're betting against something, right? That's what happened in the movie The Big Short, which is interesting. So if that's true, if I'm not saying it's true, it's just a story that popped up today. So insider trading is you pick up some information from someone, but this is someone doing something deliberately to tank the market, and then his cronies come in and buy whatever they can on the cheap. Because this is another thing that was playing today, I guess maybe in context. Donald Trump says he doesn't like good markets. He likes bad markets, because in bad markets you can buy. You can buy cheap. In a good market, you have to pay more. I don't like to pay more. I like to buy it on the cheap. So, and that's what would have happened over the last couple of days. You would have been able to pick up a lot of shares, a lot of stock very, very cheaply. So a lot of people could have made, I mean, we're talking billions of dollars here, right? If that turns out to be true, that is so beyond anything that is even remotely legal or ethical that it truly boggles the mind. But I don't think in his mind there's anything wrong with it. Why? Well, because he's the president, so he can do whatever he wants, right? I can do this. Why can't I do it? It's my power to do this, so why can't I do this? That's his thought pattern at the moment. But yeah, tomorrow it might change again, but we have a 90-day stay, it seems. 90 days is when we're locking it in, 10% tariffs. But we had people in Congress and the Senate asking pointed questions around, why Australia? Why are we putting a tariff on Australia? We have a trade surplus with Australia, which is true. America has a trade surplus. We buy more American stuff than they buy our stuff. That's a fact. So by that logic, there shouldn't have been a tariff on our stuff. But what the trade guy said, they don't like our beef or something. It's first of all,
we have a biosecurity risk.
But there's more detail to the story. So so yes, you're right, Dave. That's 100% correct. We've got a biosecurity legislation, but, and this is important to understand, we have said to America, if you can guarantee that all the beef that you ship to us is actually American beef, like U.S. beef, like like the FDA and all that.
Yep.
If you can guarantee that you don't mix any Mexican beef or whatever beef or Argentinian beef into it, we're more than happy to accept it, like the import.
That's pretty good.
Except they can't guarantee it.
There you go.
So it's not that we don't like their beef. We just want to have a guarantee that it's all American beef, right? So that, because again, people hear it and they go, oh, fair enough, they don't like the beef. No, not true. Not true. We just want to make sure it's all American beef. That's all we want to make sure. So yeah, it's not that we say blanket no to U.S. beef at all. That's not the truth. But it does leave you wondering why we get a tariff slapped on us. Not that it matters too much. I mean, America is not a huge trading partner. China is much bigger. In fact, regionally, we're quite embedded with our markets here. But it's a market we sell into, right? And especially beef products. We sell a lot of beef into the States. But it does make you wonder, why are they slapping us with a tariff when clearly there's a surplus in their favor? Not only that, this is what the senator said as well. We're an extremely important security partner of America, right? That's another thing that's important to understand. We're crucial. We're very important. The Pine Gap. I mean, but forget Pine Gap. Forget Port Darwin. The location of Australia for military purposes, exactly where we are, right? Just south of everybody else, pretty much. South of India, China.
It's crucial.
It's crucial, 100%. I mean, there's Diego Garcia is down somewhere in the Indian Ocean, in the southern Indian Ocean, right?
No, not quite southern. It's if you line up the top of Australia, and go across below India, then it's there.
Yeah, well, it's southern as far as the rest of the world is concerned.
That's true. That is so true.
For us, yeah, the thing is this. We still say the Far East, right? We say the Near East.
I know.
Middle East. We are east of the Far East. So when it comes to the cardinal directions in Australia, it's a funny thing. But you're right, Dave. That's correct. It is in line In fact, it's north of us, Diego Garcia, I think, right?
Oh, I can't. I can see it. Hang on.
I think it's either it's on the same or it's on the same parallel or it's slightly north. And look, either way,
I've got it. I've got it center screen, so I'm going to share that with everybody.
Perfect. So, but the point is, that's a small, tiny airbase, but very, very important strategically. And you can imagine how much more important Australia is refueling. Plus not just refueling, but I mean, there's food and water, potential troop supports. I mean, the list is endless, and really modern, of course, port facilities, right? And we have got Marines rotating out of Darwin on a I think a 6 month
2,500 per 6 week. Yes,
is it 6 weeks
cycle? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they're rotating in and out, so that's a significant thing as well.
According to my map, I'm absolutely spot on. The tip of Queensland and Darwin, all the way left, and it's just north. I mean, a smidge north of that.
Yeah. Now we are in the Southern Ocean, obviously, but the point is, we are very important. We are very, very important for the United States on many levels, right? And we just gave them $800 million for submarines we'll never see ever. But the question then becomes, what is this whole tariff thing then, right? Because Donald Trump has been talking about tariffs since the 1990s, and the tariffs didn't work back in the day he talks about. Like we're talking like way back when, like we're talking Great Depression era.
Voodoo economics.
Voodoo economics. That's right. This is called a Laffer curve. But it doesn't work, right? And now I think we've seen what tariffs do. They play havoc with the stock market, right? And clearly some investors are now going, America is looking a bit shaky. I'm going to start selling my treasury bonds. That is the switch, I think, tripped Donald Trump's retreat. Because the truth is this: he blinked first, right? In this particular thing, not with China. China is still being hammered, and that will have a negative effect on American consumers because everything is made for us too in Australia. Everything is made in China. I don't think there's anything in my room. Oh, that's not entirely true, but I reckon that the largest bits and pieces, like they're all made in China. Everything is made in China, right? Here we go. This is a British souvenir, a post box.
Nice.
Made in China.
Made in China.
Made in China.
That's
there you go.
the way.
I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's made in China. It's actually quite solid. It's metal, so that's pretty good, right? It doesn't make. I mean, I could pick up anything here. If it has a made in sticker on it, it'll be made in China. Here we go. There we are. What's this? This is a cable. Yeah, USB-C to USB-A, USB-A.
Yep, there you
cable.
go.
There you go. And that's made in, look at that, made in China. There's a shock. Made in China. Two random things I picked up in the room. Look, we all know this. I mean, the point is that China makes a whole bunch of stuff, right? And you're hard-pressed not to buy from China. So all the consumer goods that Americans are buying are made in China, and they're now a lot more expensive than they used to be. So I want to see how this develops over the next few weeks. It should be very interesting.
I'm still betting on the 10,000%. That'd be great.
10,000%.
Because then they couldn't make any of their aircraft. The US would not be able to make aircraft at that point.
At 10,000%, Dave.
Yes.
You and I be living in a cave, catching flies for supper.
Plato's Cave, Mickey.
That's the one. That's where we're going to be. Chained to the ground, watching a TV screen until the end of time.
Yes.
But you know what's funny? Since you brought it up, that this analogy of that Plato painted in our minds, these people are chained to the ground and they can only look forward, and that's where the puppetry happens with the shadows. I mean, if you look at our lives, that's how we live our lives, for the most part. Right? I don't care if the wall is a little screen or a big screen. So we work in front of screens, we watch screens, we play with screens. It's we are there, right? And in this analogy, it'd be you and I guess, trying to shake people awake and saying, "Hey, stop looking at the screen. What you doing? Stop it." And of course they're going to beat us to death because, in fact, you tried to take the screen away from my kids, and I say good luck to you.
Mm-hmm.
And any kid, really, right? This terrible addiction that we've been fostering over the last 20 years. Anyway, so that's really all I want to talk about. As far as the United States is concerned, it's just organized insanity. I don't know. At least it distracted from this whole signal thing, right? No one is talking about signal anymore. The war in Gaza is over. The war in the Ukraine is over as well. No more headlines for that, right? That's all finished, right? Except for those Chinese soldiers. That's it.
All we have is the tariffs, the stock market, and the upcoming election.
That's right. That should be interesting.
Did you see that there was a lady that was standing in front of an abortion clinic in Britain?
Okay.
And the police come up to her and say, "You've got to move on." And she goes, "I don't understand why. Were you doing anything?" "No, I was just standing here." Now, they've set exclusion zones around their abortion clinics, just like we have everywhere else in the planet. And they said, "Well, were you saying anything?" "No." "Were you thinking anything?" "Yes, I was doing some silent prayers." "What were you silent praying for?" And she said, "For the welfare of the children." Not anti-abortionist. And they said, "Well, you have to come with us." And she said, "Well, I've won the past two court cases, and the charges were dismissed. So if you'd like to pursue this, go ahead." And this is how bad it's getting in England now. The thought of her silent praying, standing, doing nothing, not holding a sign, was enough for them to take her away.
Dave, clearly, this is a clear-cut case of thought crime.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I'm sorry. The quicker we do away with her, the better. I cannot even imagine.
Up again.
I cannot even imagine that such a monster would be let loose in our benign society. I'm beside myself.
Why was she freed without bail? That's what we're really asking here. That's right. How far will it be down this road before, that World War II poem? First they came for the lawyers, and I said nothing because I wasn't a lawyer. We're so close now. They went, the police, there was in Britain again, there was some cameras that were just like cable tied up onto these posts during a protest march.
Right.
And the police van pulled up and they mounted these cameras up, and they're just kind of surveying who's there because of their face rec. Who's in the march? Who is protesting? And this is the kind of data, and they could do it from cell phone data anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, without having any obtrusive, activity going on. It would not be visible, but they try to keep that data in the background, so we're not really questioning it enough to worry about taking our phone somewhere. They can grab all that data and tell you who you were meeting, for how long. I know, right?
For the last few... Go on.
No. So my point with this is the danger of any government becoming, let's call it tyrannical if you really want to, is this close. Like, I don't know. I don't know how we got here without argument. I don't know how we got here without complaint. We've agreed to it all. There it is. And now they're in position to be able to make laws to stop us from arguing against it. What?
It crept up on us, Dave. In our defense, they creep up on us.
Well, wait until there's an extradition law between Australia and Britain.
Oh, look, yeah. Let's hope that actually won't happen. But
we have a little British flag on our flag.
We do, but it's certainly, hopefully, not for crimes like that. But for the last few, like 10 years, 10, 15 years, no longer really. It started earlier than that, but as soon as the internet was a thing, and people realized what it could be used for, and then, once smart... See, the key thing that really drove this was the commercial success of smartphones.
That's right.
And the runaway popularity that they have. Cult-like status, either you're an Apple boy or you're Android boy or girl or whatever. Nobody looks at Blackberries anymore, Palm Pilots. I'm giving my age away here now. But it is our desire as consumers that has led to this. And then people, I think the rest came as an afterthought, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all the stuff we can do here. We can piggyback on this. We can piggyback on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the technology became more and more sophisticated, where the camera and microphone, even if
can be
if you
switched
think they're
on
off,
at will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they appear off. I mean, I know for a fact, and so do you, and hopefully most of our listeners as well, you know for a fact that your phone is listening to you. And I've said this before. It's a beautiful little anecdote. But I had my phone next to my mother-in-law. It was on the kitchen table. I was somewhere else, but my phone was there. And she was on her phone, and she was speaking in Vietnamese. It's her second language. Anyway, so she was speaking Vietnamese to a friend, I guess, on her phone for a while. And then I came back and got my phone. For the next, I want to say, probably 2 weeks, these Vietnamese ads would pop up on my phone. Like, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I went to a conference in Phuket 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I was staying at a hotel there, and we didn't really leave the hotel, but that's neither here nor there. But it was Phuket, and it's not too far from Pattaya or whatever the beach is called there. You know that anyway. That notorious beach. My Facebook feed is now, it's exploding with stuff with that kind of content.
Well, like Pattaya.
Yeah, but I didn't think that Facebook would allow some of the things I've seen in my feed. Like, we're talking like explicit. I go,
oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's not right. But I'm talking like very explicit type stuff.
Okay.
Right? And I thought, okay, that's odd, and it's definitely my Facebook feed. So, so your phone, your device, it might not be a phone, is actually keeping tabs on you.
Totally.
And there's nothing you can do about it, save, well, not having one. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
put it through a crusher and move on with your life. I remember a time, Mackie, where you could just be you.
I know, right?
Oh, look at me being old and reminiscing.
I used to wear brown onions on my belt.
That's right, because the Kaiser took all the white ones. So Mackie, I've got a story here. This is German central bank. I'll put my teeth back in. German central bank president calls for introduction of CBDCs to protect European sovereignty.
Oh.
And I saw an announcement from the blonde, I suppose she's probably 70 years old, 65, 70. Slender German, I presume, probably the head of something or other, very important person. saying that they're about to begin the digital currency transition.
Really?
And so it's funny because this story here, this is I'll send you a link so you can have a look. Actually, I put it in the chat room. So I couldn't find the video directly, but this story here is really talking about the introduction of CDBCs. This is what's coming to everybody.
Okay.
It is what's going to happen. And it's just a matter of when it is implemented. It's sad that they want to do it because of what we're going to see is the possibility of depreciated money. So you'll be given some credits and they'll have a time frame in which to use those credits. But we'll never, ever, from once they're introduced, we'd never be able to bridge the gap between us and the ultra-wealthy.
No.
There's still hope for us, Mackie, right now, before the digital currency comes in, that we could come up with an idea, could be something tremendous. Tremendous! Right? It was good. We could be doing something that allows us an enormous success and we could be wealthy, or even ultra-wealthy. It's happened in the past, people have gotten there, but I think now, once this happens, there won't be any ability to save money because it'll expire.
That's incredible if you think about the concept of expiring money.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It means you have to use it.
Yeah, I mean, no. Look, I understand they're trying to stop the accumulation of wealth, right, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But this won't fly in a lot of countries. I can tell you right now, not just Germany, but most of Central Europe, Northern Europe,
That's right.
those nations. I told you when I was there last, this was in 2000 and I want to say 12 or 14 when my uncle passed away. But I mean, not that long ago, I mean, in the scheme of things. And I couldn't use my credit card anywhere. Not in the supermarket, not in the shop, not in the cafe. I could use a bank card, or I could use cash. And then they told me, "Oh, just go to the airport. There are a couple of shops at the airport that take your credit card." I go, "Oh, really?" Germans don't like credit cards. Germans like to save and spend the money they have. It's just
That's right.
It's a cultural thing, and it's like that for most of Northern Europe and Central Europe as well. And there are other nations in the world where that is a thing. It's only in Australia. We're addicted to the tick, 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 tick,
the
tick,
tap.
tick,
That's right.
No country in the world uses the tap and go like we do. Nobody.
No. We're the highest adopters.
There's no limit. You can buy a piece of gum for 5 cents if you can find it and put it on your tap, which is complete insanity, but you could if you really wanted to, right?
Because there's a surcharge for each transaction. You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
But we have debit, Visa, and MasterCards.
Yeah.
It's only because of the cost per transaction that the banks were trying to utilize. They were claiming it's too expensive. Yeah. So they got those credit card companies who see many more transactions than they do to be able to facilitate that for free. From the bank's perspective, we still have to pay the surcharge. And now in Australia, there's a push for all of those transactions to be free. Now, no one left holding the bag wants that.
Oh, that's right.
Because whoever's the last one, whoever owns those companies, at some point, because everyone's gotten used to, the consumer pays for it all. But at some point when it can't be free, it can't be charged anymore, it's got to be free, who's going to be holding the bag?
See, that's the thing.
The banks with all their billions of dollars in profit in our little tiny market. Imagine, in New York, as you've said before, Greater New York area, that's the population of the whole of Australia. And if you only had 4 banks that looked after everyone there, would you be okay with each of them making $4 billion profit?
Think about that for a second. Banks and supermarkets in Australia. Banks and supermarkets.
Yeah.
And miners or resource companies. These 3 are making profits
In the billions.
But like no other company of the same kind anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, it's unheard of. If nothing else, shows you just how badly mismanaged the Australian economy is. This whole 2-party system just doesn't work. It doesn't work. We have to get rid of it.
Well, that's funny, Mackie, because if you were and I was the 2 big major brands in anything, whether it's the banking institution, it's big mining, or it's big retail, like groceries, do we want any other players? Hell no.
No, are you crazy?
No, let's keep them down. If we were in politics, do we want the little players? No. It's just we want the 2 of us, you see. And it's going to be you or it's going to be me, and it doesn't matter. We'll both be in power anyway, because we'll be in opposition if you win. How good is that? We still get paid.
That's what matters, right?
So if there was only one, then there'd be a competition problem. You'd have to split up. But no, we've got the balance just right. Have you ever tried to play on the seesaw and there's more than 2 people?
Yeah.
On the seesaw with more than 2 people? It's very difficult to find balance.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. We're having an intrusion of the little people.
Yes. So it's an uncanny coincidence that we have 2 in each of those 3 major profiteering or racketeering, if there was a word to describe it, where they always claim that they don't communicate with each other. We just throw grenades over the fence, metaphorically, and we hate on each other, but we have exactly the same policy.
Yeah.
We run our companies exactly to the same profit margin. How is that?
Look,
it's coincidental. I'm just being foolish, Mackie. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's no collusion. There's no plan here. What plan? It's illegal to have a plan like that. It can't be possible. Look. Whenever you have people of enormous wealth meeting in a room with no one else allowed inside, you can rest assured they only talk about what's best for humanity at large.
That's what I was going to say.
I know you were, because that's the truth. The truth is, they have our best interest at heart.
So remember, from The Simpsons, there's the truth, and then there's the truth.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Hey, I remember you. Aren't you the guy that chased Bart's ambulance all the way to the hospital?
No win, no pay. So we are living in unprecedented times in many ways, because we had this veneer of respectability for a long time, right? For the last 80 years, there was like this veneer of this is ethical and this is legal and this.
Oh, it was thin, all right. It was like an oil slick thing.
I agree, and in fact, most of us knew that it wasn't actually true.
That's right.
Because if you're rich and powerful, the rules, such as they were, didn't really apply to you. They didn't, not really, right? But there was this pretense that they did. Now, no pretense. I do whatever I like. Thank you very much.
That's right.
It's astounding, and I'm not just talking about America here. I'm talking about this is a global phenomenon, where the misuse, abuse of power is so blatant that I guess you expect it from the dictators and the autocrats. I guess you expect that, right? You shouldn't, but fair enough. I guess like Russia and North Korea and even China to some extent. But you don't expect it anywhere else. But now, yeah, absolutely. We just do whatever suits us. And most people are just taking it because we seem to have lost the ability. Think about it this way for a second. Imagine, let's take America for a second. Let's imagine what's happening in America today, or has happened. Whatever happened in America for the last 20 years, right? Right from 9/11 to now. And the reaction of the public to that. And now imagine the same thing had happened in the 1930s or the 1940s. Right? And you, nah, what?
Yeah,
nah. Right. It couldn't have. Not like it unfolded here, not as blatant. And because I honestly believe, and I know I'm naive for believing it, there was a common decency. I mean, people were racist and elitist and classist. Yes, all of those things. But I do believe that people fundamentally, for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, try to lead morally good and ethically good lives. You know, a lot of Christians back in America in those days. And I don't think they deliberately or overtly tried to do something that went against the faith. I really believe that. And this is probably true for many places in the world. I can't say the same thing now at all. I think right now we've completely lost our way. We don't even know where we're going. Now there's no path, Dave. There is no path. What's the path? If you look at what's survive. Yeah, no. Hey,
that's
you know what?
I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
But that's... I'm going to ask. Then I have to ask the question: at what cost?
At what cost? Can you still look at yourself in the mirror?
Yeah. See, at the moment, the politicians are only talking to our emotional side. They appear to me to pretend to understand what it's like at our level, and I really don't see it. Everything appears as though, I'm not going to say as though they're reading a script, but more that they're so disconnected from. If I could do anything, I would make it so the politicians get no wage for it, and they must live on unemployment benefits while they're in power, and because the only way to really live as a person in your society is to live as the poorest.
I agree.
And then you know what's going on.
In fact, you would only get people that would actually want to serve their country.
That's right.
If those are the conditions, right?
Yeah.
And imagine the laws that would be passed all of a sudden, right? Imagine the world we'd be living in. If that, I mean, honestly, I think that's a brilliant idea. I think, if that could ever be,
it's never getting up. But it's never going to get up.
Yeah, but you know what else I would like to see? That's definitely one. But I would also like to see no career politicians.
Oh yeah.
So
totally.
You got a choice here. You got a choice between 3 different forms of government, in my opinion, that would work. One is plebiscite. Everything is taken to the people for everything. The tech is there.
So direct democracy, yeah.
Direct, but I mean, and you need blockchain or some tech to actually secure it. But in Australia we have the My ID app now that's government driven, and you can be the only holder of that ID. Yeah.
Extraordinary. Great tech.
So,
if a tech position, it's great tech.
Yeah. So that's option 1.
I don't like its application.
Option 2 is that you get the benevolent dictator, because that could work. If you get someone,
in a dictatorship.
Someone
that speech from the dictator.
Yeah. So that could work, right? It could even be a combination of those two. And then finally, if you do want representative democracy, you get people that have a regular job, they're regular people, and they serve in whatever capacity for 4 years, and then they go back to their job.
Yeah.
So whatever you're elected to, that you have that for 4 years or whatever, 5 years, and then you can go back. Or it could be a combination of all of those 3 things. But what we have here, a career politician plus the established parties, which no longer really represent Australia, to be honest with you. In fact, I don't think any of the parties in the world where you have like two-party like system represent the people anymore.
No.
Because the society is much more diverse now. It really, we need something better. And we need something that is not easily corruptible.
If only AI was an appliance already.
I love the AI.
I love the AI, and I love... The thing about the appliance version of an AI is one that can't be upgraded. It can't be changed. It can't be influenced from the outside. It's set. It's fixed. That's the end of that. You probably even take away the firmware upgrade. So whatever it is what it is. And you just mass produce those, and they could be in a toaster, for instance.
I don't want any bread.
I think I've sent you that red dwarf thing.
No baked goods of any kind.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Talkie Toaster, your chirpy breakfast companion. Do you want some toast? That's where we're headed, because I know we're going to make one. We will absolutely make one of those. We'll have a fridge that convinces you that you shouldn't eat anything.
Yeah.
Which will be great. But I'm convinced that something like that we would have to have trust in. Have to have
I agree.
Unbridled trust in an AI if it was going to rule humanity. And that's the only way that I could see, as long as it didn't have its own motives for building its own spaceship and buggering off to somewhere in the universe to explore. If it didn't do that, then it would be the best thing that we could have, because the human factor removed from our governance is the only thing that could make us go forward.
Yeah.
We'd have to live like ants and eat each other or something. Put the warning screen up, right? Because if it just decided that we were too much of a threat and turned off our oxygen or something, I don't know. That could be bad.
It could be. It could be. It's less than ideal, let's say.
Yeah, yes, it could. So I don't know if there was a way of being able to get around that. Because look, the whole world just suffered the biggest stock market collapse and then the biggest rise in stock in history. It's never bounced back so well. It's amazing. So sell high, buy low. That's the idea.
That's the idea.
And was it intentional? I think, today, our time, the 10th, was when the tariffs were meant to be applied to Australia. Now there's a 90-day hold. Anything
not
from
on the 10%. On the 10%
on the 10% though, only those people with 10% or low were going to have a pause on their... Initially, they weren't going to have it applied. That was what the rules said. Everyone else was going to get theirs applied, but those with the 10%. Now, the argument, I know, talking about at the top of the story, they were talking about, well, why does Australia even have them then? But they weren't going to be applied to us, which is the extraordinary part. Now, I saw it today, all the countries who have decided to have a discussion to reduce the reciprocal tariffs. But what are the results? We don't know. So I think they're going to use the 90 days or whatever it is to work out what it's all going to look like in the future. I think the entire thing was made just to hate on China from the start.
I think that's a fair assumption. I would say that's absolutely true. And again, of course, this is again based on the false perception that a trade deficit is a bad thing.
That's right.
Right. The only way to defeat the trade deficit is to make your country men, your fellow citizens, spend less on
That's right. On foreign
goods.
items. Yeah, that's
I mean
right.
that's it. I mean, there's no other way to do this. So
If you're Greece, you're already there.
yeah,
Actually, no, that's the opposite. They buy everything from overseas.
there's nothing.
The only thing they have is tourism.
Yeah, so that's why Germany bought Greece recently at a garage sale.
Yeah, I would have.
I shouldn't say that.
So this
but
is
it's
my
true.
life now. Night watchman at an abandoned warehouse.
It leaves me a lot of time to do my whittling. I like to whittle. Oh, here I've got my piece of wood and my whittling knife. There we go. I'm living the life now.
That sounds so good.
I'm up to the letter D in my lexicon. I'm reading the whole way through. My life is full. What?
It kind of reminds me of Mickey Mouse in the retirement home. It's a good character. I like that one.
Yeah, you can use Mickey. You can use Mickey Mouse now. The
Yeah, you can.
original. It's been 100 years. It's been 100 years.
I know.
It's been 100 years, man. What? That's just nuts. 100 years.
But guess what? There's the music.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Hey, this has been Platos Cave. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you had a good time. This is Revolution Radio. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure something else is going to come up.
It
You
will.
can catch us again on Sunday for Shiny Side Out. But in the meantime, Dave.
We ask you to be safe.
And that's that.